Shakaro will leave that party and defect to a different party. And when when Shakaro is coming into this party, Kwankwaso that leaves that party for them. And it's been the trend in Kano politics. But one thing that is obvious is that without Kwankwaso in that movement, and the governor is an in-law to Kwankwaso to start with, and if they are not together, do you see the possibility of the governor, leading if the APC into 2027 elections successfully?
Well, you see, it is neither here nor there. It is dependent on what the father-in-law wants. But I am thinking that if Kwankwaso moves to ADC, even if Yusuf goes into APC, he might just be a mole in APC. And of course, there have been predictions that many governors of APC might as well work against Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the elections. These are predictions. Yes, these are predictions and prophecies.
Yes,
so,
and one thing that is clear is that there's apprehension in Kano, because if you follow the news recently, you see that the government house is shielded with armored tanks and other. There are beefed up securities around because there's rumors of protests, in lieu with this very defection. But moving on, we'll look at another story where a federal high court in Ekiti State has nullified the recent PDP governorship primaries and ordered a fresh election. The PDP candidate has vowed to appeal the ruling, promising legal action to overturn the judgment.
which of the PDP? Are we talking about PDP A or PDP B?
Yes, of course.
So which one has a better? Anyway, it is one of the PDPs. But, in some states, PDP in some states are not factionalized. I do not think we have a faction of another PDP in the Enugu state, for instance. I know of one PDP in the Enugu state, and I do not know if these factions exist in all the states of the Federation.
But Mr. Rex, one thing for me that I think we should point out is that political parties should be orderly, such that when you conduct your affairs, it shouldn't be sought to go to litigation. There's a way around this where you can handle
and
this.
it's not,
And bringing the courts, into these party affairs. We reference to the Supreme Court ruling. Where they don't need to interfere in political matters, in party affairs. One would expect that the political parties will tidy up their affairs such that we won't see these issues around litigation on party affairs.
Well,
that from this point of view about political parties I think themselves as a political party, their integrity should matter a lot. Now, this is something of a system that has already been created. Having it to say, okay, bring in the third party, we're talking about the courts now, to rule certain things may just not give that positive or dependable vibe concerning it. Because for me, I would say that once it's a political party thing, all parties should be transparent, all parties in their activities. So we should not have people who come into parties and they sabotage or make issues to go this way or that way. And I think this is something that we have seen in for instance, looking at the Federal High Court nullifying the Ekiti State primaries. That is something that we are looking at, that the PDP themselves, these people themselves should internally resolve, not just taking it alone outside the court. Mr. Rex, I don't know if you have that, if you are following what I'm trying to
yeah,
because it's a personal thing.
Okay.
And the court should intervene when there's an external force too, that is not even from the party, but from another side. Because there are rules, there's a constitution guiding the political parties, of course.
Parties play by their constitution, we won't have mirrors of litigation that we were witnessing.
You see, in Nigeria and the history of PDP, there's been this problem about nomination. This is because the party most often is bereft of applying internal democratic process. You see, the way candidates emerge from PDP have always gone to court and court and court. That even resulted in uh, where the Supreme Court made a ruling they should not interfere in how they emerge because it is purely party politics. So there should be internal democracy. That is what the parties should be thinking about, having internal democracy, so that whenever a candidate emerges, everybody will just calm down and join the others. Then if you look at the way um, parties bring out, you say, you look at the issue of consensus. You see, sometimes people emerge by consensus, and some other people are forced to shelve their ambition and what they felt. These are people who have ambition of trying to come and serve the people, and they are forced to shelve it based on consensus. Those who fund the parties, they take decisions, and that solves it.
For me, I would say that basically from what we are seeing here is that, like you said, these things should be people who came in with good ambitions to serve the public, of course, or to initiate certain things that would help the general system of democracy to flourish. But when they come in, there are some breaches, and the people who have more influence, people who are leading the consensus of the political parties, will now have to, they have to consent with them so that they could achieve whatever the things they needed to achieve. Well, I would say that this thing also stems from personal integration, personalized integration, because when you look at it, you will see that if I come in, it also that place of let me not bring this in, but I have to, that place of self-determination. You already know that you are coming into a place where there are this kind of thing can come up, where your intentions can be overturned. You have to look into it and fix your mind, guard your mind. That is what I'm looking at it from. Because when, as a person, you put yourself in a situation where a lot of, let's say, wolves in a sheep environment, you are going to, if you are the only wolf there, you are going to be a sheep. If you are the only sheep there, you are going to be a wolf. So it is a personal thing for you to know that you are going to represent democracy. You are a representative, first, of the democracy and of the people, and secondly, of this political party at large. And that is what I am saying.
So one thing that is obvious is that so far as politics is about self-interest, we will continue to see clash of interest. That's basic. But we urge the political parties to play, by the book and minimize this level of litigations always. And then moving on, also in the news, we are seeing that the United States has delivered crucial military supplies to Nigerian forces to support ongoing operations against insurgents and criminal gangs in the northeast and northwest, highlighting deepening security cooperation between both countries. When we speak to you, heard about the supplies from the United States government, and here we see, yes, at the end of the day, when our government did tell us that they are in collaboration with the United States government as regarding the U.S. strike in Nigeria and the involvement of the United States government. I think this supplies now gives credence to that position that the both countries are really cooperating on the issue. Mr. Rez.
Yes, it's a clear proof of partnership and collaboration. You see, a lot of people had earlier said the government of Nigeria do not have any collaboration, do not have any partnership, do not even know when the Americans came to bomb in Sokoto and all that. But we have seen that a lot of things are happening, and now that it is in the news and it's clear, it is seen, even the pictorial news when this plane landed, we are all saying that Nigeria has been getting support, military support from the United States.
That's quite apt. And one thing remains, we'll see that Nigeria should see to it that there is judicious use of this equipment. It shouldn't fall into wrong hands. There's been allegations in the past where you see these government equipment, government acquired ammunition, getting into the hands of these bandits and terrorist groups. And we plead that such will not happen. Rather, they should stem the tide, use these equipment to root out these terrorists and bandits from our territories. And then moving on the political scene, we've seen news that former Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Pitobi has called for the withdrawal.
As long that you cannot tax poverty. How can you, put tax on poverty-ridden environment? You say the taxation is further impoverishing the Nigerian people. So I think it's not just an opposition statement, it is the reality on ground. Because apart from being an opposition, being an opposition party, an opposition person, Nigerians are also, many Nigerians who are not into partisan politics also have demanded that that tax law, amidst its controversies, amidst the controversies surrounding it, should be shelved for now.
Yes, and Mr. Pitobi, he's not just speaking as an opposition, I would say. From his statements and from the things we've seen so far, you will see that he's an economist. He studied economics and he has attended a lot of business schools. When he presented his objective on the new party, on ADC, at the Nicolate resort, you could hear him give facts and figures of what is really happening, of how the situation in Nigeria could be solved when he comes in. And he is talking from the place of someone who is informed, not just someone who is just shooting around or trying to make a point. He has the facts, he has the figures, and this is what we are expecting from someone who has interest to lead the nation Nigeria. I think that is something that we can just put in, because it's not just about taxing poverty. It is also about having information of if there's the government policies which will eradicate poverty, if those policies are being carried out, if those things are being implemented by the right organization and by the right government agencies who have been stationed to move it. That's what I think. He's speaking from a place of intellectual understanding of what the state is, and that's what happens when someone in opposition is talking against.
Anyways, whether we come into this from the perspective of the government and the perspective of the opposition, one thing that is certain is that the generality of Nigerians don't agree on issues around these new tax reforms and the tax law, But be that as it may, if we continue to go about it, one thing that is certain is that whoever is speaking with the interest of the nation at heart. That is obvious. But we'll continue to speak to the issue around the tax reform. But moving on from that issue, also in the news is where we've seen that Vice President Kashim Shettima has urged selflessness and integrity in public service. Excuse me. Has urged integrity in public service in a statement to civil servants, stressing these values as essential for national progress. I take that again. We're saying in the news, we're seeing Vice President Kashim Shettima has urged selflessness and integrity in public service in a statement to civil servants, stressing these values as essential for national progress.
The Vice President is the next person after the leader of this country politically. And of course, what he did from a moral perspective, from advisory perspective, public servants are supposed to uphold integrity in all the things they do. And the Vice President, reiterated that statement is to sink it deeper into the public servants and the civil servants, so as they should know what they ought to be doing and how to move the nation forward. Whatever they are doing is just for the purpose of moving the nation forward for the good of the people.
And sometimes when this kind of issue is raised, especially Vice President himself raising this concern, you will see that he's trying to bring in the need for especially people in public offices, like we've seen for the past few days, the anti-graft agency carrying out certain investigations concerning the former AGF of the federation, seeing that they don't that these things. Okay, I think he actually is trying to remind these people in a way too that whatever you do in the or public service system, you need to do it well, so that not just for your own self, so that you don't get into the books of the law. I think this is what is very clear from what we have seen in the past weeks.
All right, it's quite encouraging hearing from the Vice President himself, Kashim Shetima, encouraging Nigerian civil servants, to be steadfast, in living up to selflessness and integrity in the disposal of their duties. Well, one thing I will add is equally that the leaders should lead by example as well on this issue, so that everyone all else should be on board, when it comes to integrity and everything. And then, like we did cite, issues that we're seeing with EFCC and others will be brought to the barest minimum. ICPC and EFCC, would be allowed to, investigate more other meaningful issues and not being barraged with a lot of integrity concerned, abuse of public, office and all that. But then we'll move over to Deborah.
All right, thank you very much. Now moving over to the trending reports on economy, where Nigeria has launched a $2 billion national climate change fund to accelerate its transition to low-emission infrastructure as part of broader green investment initiatives unveiled at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. The effort also includes a climate investment platform aimed at attracting foreign capital.
All right. So whenever the issue around climate change is involved, I have a steady position on this, but it's quite encouraging that the Nigerian government, is making efforts in this regard. We all understand the impact of the climatic change, when especially the sub-Saharan Africa is involved. Just yesterday we were speaking to issues around Hamatan. Usually we were asking, where is our Hamatan? That it no longer, when you travel down during festive season, part of them is to enjoy the Hamatan, move away from the sunny parts and enjoy the
breeze.
But it's no longer there. After the Yuletide, when people are moving back, then now seeing traces of Hamatan, and this to speak to the issues around climate change. But to my other stated position on climate change, I see that equally affecting us in a way, being that the countries that we're in conversation with when it comes to the issues around climate change, talk about the Western world, have, passed the process where we are, the stage where we are at this time. This nation, for me, at one point or another, used coal to generate power. But in this time, we are told that we can generate power with electricity, with coal, due to the issues around climate change. And this is where I take a section on this issue. But generally, it's quite commendable that our government is equally involved in this regard. And when you speak to tree planting all around, where we have to encourage green vegetation, to steady the tide around the issues on climate change.
Primarily, it's about vegetation. Climate change is a universal problem. It is not just peculiar with Africa or sub-Saharan Africa or Nigeria. It's a universal. The glacier and the Arctic region are melting, and of course, increasing the volume of water in the oceans and all that. And that's as a result of rays, hot rays from the sun. And in Africa, from the northern part of Africa, of course, the hottest desert in the entire world is the Sahara Desert. It is encroaching into our country, Nigeria. The encroachment has been one of the reasons given as why the herdsmen are coming down southwards to rear their animals, because the desert encroachment in the northern part of Nigeria has made it difficult for the animals to survive. And so these are some of the reasons. So, and today we are hearing about 80 billion. Well, it's quite a sum, but I've not seen very significant things done. If we go into tree planting, fine and good. And of course, I learned that Nigeria had planned, or Nigeria in conjunction with Chad and the other nation, Cameroon, Chad, Cameroon, within the Lake Chad area, had planned to sumo are already far ahead in terms of ensuring that the environment are having it rosy and may not have problem because of the climate change. So Nigeria has to do something drastic to ensure the money earmarked for it is not even enough. And of course, you think about the Nigerian factor, where these monies are just seen on the pages of newspaper. Sometimes you don't see any concrete, commensurate action, feasible action on these projects.
Okay, now still on economy report, the news there says the Nigeria Revenue Service verified that the new tax reforms do not allow automatic deductions from bank accounts, dispelling speculative rumors and easing public anxiety.
All right. It's quite encouraging, seeing the stability that the naira is enjoying at this moment. And I suppose that a lot about this stability at this moment has to do, beyond the government policy. Januaries are usually a period where we see investors and importers, wanting to restock their stores. They go into more importation in January, leading to exchange rates, skyrocketing usually in January, where the people want to import and order. But I will see that the inflows, of foreign currency due to the people who return for yield time in Nigeria will still have a lot of foreign currency, helping to steady the tide at the moment. But one thing that is certain, when we bring these forces together, both the government, the CBN approach, to see that dollar to naira is stabilized at this moment. And yesterday we were talking about the shrinking, volume, the huge amounts we usually use into the importation of petroleum products in Nigeria. And when you bring all these factors together, you see that the naira, has to firm up and able to challenge other currencies, especially dollar. And I think we are seeing the result of that effect in this tide. That usually in January, where you see the naira, fluctuating, going down, but this time around is, being stabilized a bit, and it's quite stable, going by what's been happening in a few days.
Yes, naturally, the policies being put in place by the CBN are truly yielding fruits. The naira was falling and falling and falling, and it fell to an abysmal situation over the years. It even went down to almost 1,800 per dollar, but today it is 1,400 and something, which means, and it has been gaining all along based on some of the policies that were put in place by the Central Bank of Nigeria. You see, economy has to be managed by economists. Yeah. And when people who know their onion in the management of economy, certain things will begin, the indicators will be there to show you. The indicators will be there to show you that what they have put in place is actually yielding fruit. And that is exactly what we have seen. Some of the things you said initially about people coming in with dollar, and how much do they come in with? You remember, you don't come in with more than $10,000. So,
foreign remittances.
How less remittances? Okay, so those foreign remittances has been good for Nigeria. I think it has made the dollar to be almost everywhere, and importers are assessing the money with which they are going to restock for those. But I want you to understand that restocking may not be there all that, because Nigerians are very poor. Many people did not shop like they used to shop because of the hard economy. So their stock is still there enough. It is only when the stock goes down that you begin to restock.
All right, let me grant you this for time. Moving over to sports.
Okay, we are having the news that Nigeria Super Eagles are preparing for the AFCON Nation semi-final today in Morocco, and we are looking at what is happening already. While Iwobi has come out to say that he thinks that it is the unity and team spirit that has helped them to not just the tactics but unity and team spirit. I don't know what we are looking at, what we are going to see in this match this evening. Just like Mr. Rest said earlier, just behind the scene, that a lot of things are already summing up against Nigeria Super Eagles. And I don't know what we're expecting from what you think we should expect from the Super Eagles from what we are going to have today, Mr. Rex.
Well, Nigerians will come out doing what they know to do, and they have done since the AFCON tournament started. They have done very well. It's not going to be easy because you are going to, face the host nation,
Yes,
Morocco, who on their own have done well as hosts to get to where they are presently. So my expectation is that if Nigeria, but remember that Ndidi, we friend Ndidi, the midfield maestro, who of course handles the midfield, because we have always talked about Nigerian midfield being one of the best
so far,
within the period.
Yeah.
So Ndidi is not going to play, given
The one-match ban.
sanction. Yes, one-match ban. So my expectation is that Chile will find
someone as in Didi.
a better replacement, if there is a better replacement.
Well, still on the Super Eagles match that is coming up this evening, we are having the news that a lot of offers has come. Not just an offer to entice them, but just from a support system, from a support stand where they are going to, the great guy, I will call him the great man, has promised to give them $500,000 on if they win today's match. If they win today's match, it's going to give them $500,000 and $50,000 for each goals they would score today. Someone was telling me that could entice them to play, that we should take away the support. And I don't know if that is, Mr. Uche, I don't know if that is something we should look into, because I'm kind of thinking about this, that should we now promise to give them money or something, or should we just let everything go? So I think we're going to see that today. We're going to see them win the match and get over to the finals in the coming days. Thank you very much.
All right, and moving over to the business updates. Yesterday, Tuesday, January 13, 2026, the Nigerian equities market extended its bullish streak with a significant leap. The Nigerian all-share index rose by 1.59%, closing at 165,836.96 points, while market capitalization surged by over 1.66 trillion naira to settle at 106.18 trillion naira. Investor segment was overwhelmingly positive, with 55 stocks advancing against only 13 decliners. And then moving on to the top gainers, yesterday we'll see Deep Cap, yesterday closing his book at 3 naira 63 kobo, making a plus 10 positive adjustment. And then leading the losers yesterday, we saw Universal Insurance, which closed its book at 0.45 kobo yesterday, making a minus 6.25% adjustment. Slight gains in the informal market despite the typical January demand for foreign currency. At the official market, we see the naira saw a marginal appreciation window, supported by consistent liquidity and the central bank price discovery reforms. The opening rate as of yesterday was 1,424.24 per dollar. The market equally closed yesterday at 1,422.43 against the dollar. then making appreciable, stability by 0.12% compared to the previous day. And at the parallel market, we saw that the opening rate was at 1,462, against the dollar, selling at 1,472 against the dollar. It appreciated by 3 naira, down from Monday close of the market where it was at 1,435 naira. And that is it for today on the business update.
All right, thank you very much. And that is all for today's edition on Sunrise on Aneke TV. It's always a pleasure having you here every morning. I am Deborah Wakaba.
And Mr. Rest, we are always grateful to have you on Sunrise. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And you, Mr. Gufo, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I'm Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. Be unique. Keep watching Aneke TV. It will come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
As technology continues to advance, artificial intelligence is finding its way into every aspect of our lives, including education. But as school experience with AI teachers and virtual classrooms, one question remains: can we trust AI to educate our children? Today, we hit the street to find out what Nigerians think.
I wouldn't trust AI to, but they can inform. There's a difference between education and information. Education is like training, taking over. You have a teacher in school. You should listen to your lecturer. It's not about what somebody says. Or this is garbage in, garbage out. Even those of us who use computer know that at a stage computer gets confused on which word to put. The same thing applies to those of you who use Google to travel. At a stage, Google can carry you to another place. So you can consult AI when the need arises. It's especially for research work. If you are writing your project now, there are things you want to get to know. You ask AI. AI will tell you. You put it in your work. Or if you are a student, for instance, or you are doing a research. Not that things you are supposed to learn in school, then you drop it and AI will take over.
To learn through the use of AI, but that cannot replace the involvement of human beings, because AI may be efficient, but it doesn't have that empathy that human beings have. So there are certain things embedded in nature, made by God himself, that no technology can reproduce. And those things are why we cannot ignore certain other things that must be brought in, even as we use technology. But as for whether I would want my children to imbibe the AI stuff, that one is certain, because this is the era for it. A lot of things are now being done using AI.
I prefer human being. AI is a robot. It's not everything that he knows. But human being, naturally, there are some things he explained. It's not just how do I put it? It's not. It's sometimes you ask question and human being explain with nature, but robot don't know anything about nature. He cannot explain. It's only what he thinks is better. But let me just say, some most of the time, you ask AI a question, he will say he don't know it. But as a human, once you are educated and you exist, you just have a little reference to what someone has, even if you cannot tell the full detail of that, but you can give out something that the person will hold on.
I trust AI to educate me because it's an artificial intelligence which which can make you to be what to be computer literate that will guide you, and also you can use it to empower yourself in order for you to be financial dependent. It can lecture you into technology aspect of life, which you can use it to produce a lot of things and be useful to yourself. I don't think that there is any negative side of it because if, for my children, it helps them in solving their homework, which there is artificial AI, that is artificial intelligence app that is in my phone that will help my son to do some of his homework by himself in mathematics.
AI, there is the human factor. AI is not as calculative. AI cannot calculate, okay, this is what you need. For example, when you say my educational level, you mean as like different professions now. So for example, in medicine, AI does not know, AI does not have experience. So AI cannot train me according to what's happening in real life situation. It only has intelligence. There's intelligence and there's real life circumstance. So AI can't give practical examples. In the negative side, I realize maybe it can make people become lazy because every little thing people now jump to AI. It can reduce their intelligence quotient because what makes people intelligent is stress their mind to think more. So AI can make people stop thinking, and which is now reducing their intelligence quotient, which means that whenever there is no AI, they can't function properly.
I'll prefer human beings to educate my children because I think they foremost had a knowledge about education. AI just came like a year ago or 2 years ago. In as much as yes, the world is internet based and AI is what is the main issue right now, but I would still prefer a human than AI. Concerning our society these days, the children these days are so internet inclined. So, and we parents these days are trying to be very, very careful with what our children see online. So, if my child is above 16, I can trust AI. But below that age, I wouldn't want to because of what is in the internet these days.
The opinions on AI education are mixed. While some see it as future of learning, others remain cautious. One thing is clear: as technology shapes our classrooms, the conversation about trust, qualities, and human touch in education is only just beginning. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
The Osu-Ohu caste divide in Igbo society took center stage at the just concluded Fourth Enugu Diocesan Synod held at the Holy Ghost Cathedral, Enugu. Under the theme "The Problem of Osu and Ohu in Our Communities and the Amadi-Diala Linkage: Uniting God's Igbo Children" Njikozi Igbo Umochukwu, The gathering drew clergy, laity, and traditional leaders into an honest confrontation with one of the region's most enduring social challenges. The Emeritus Archbishop of Owerri and the head of Owerri Metropolitan See, Most Reverend Anthony J.V. Obinna, delivered the landmark paper tracing the historical roots, distortions, and human rights implications of the caste system. He described the hierarchy as an ancient but harmful legacy that contradicts Christian teachings and modern understanding of human dignity. Despite centuries of Christianity and legal reforms, Archbishop Obinna observed that discrimination persists in marriage, chieftaincy selection, and land ownership. He highlighted institutional efforts to tackle the problem, including the 2022 Joint Pastoral Directive by Catholic bishops in Onitsha and Owerri, which condemned caste segregation as obnoxious and incompatible with the Christian faith. He also referenced the 1956 abolition of the Osu designation by the Eastern Nigeria House of Assembly, noting that enforcement across Igbo states remains inconsistent. Human rights organizations like Pillars of Hope Africa Initiative have assisted traditional rulers in formally abolishing the caste system in parts of Imo State. The Archbishop outlined key social labels, also individuals historically dedicated to deities, Ohu, those bought or captured as slaves or considered strangers, Amadi Diala, the so-called freeborn, often upholding discriminatory barriers, and Ume, a lesser-known category associated with alleged early death in some areas, facing harsh stigmatization. He stressed that while definitions vary, all these labels share a legacy of exclusion and social stigma, of superiority, while Osu and Ohu and Ume should reject feelings of inferiority. True reform, he emphasized, requires heartfelt repentance, personal and communal, not just formal declarations. He outlined 5 steps towards healing: reject false caste identities, renounce derogatory attitudes and joke, confess past wrongs, resolve to end divisive practices, and embrace forgiveness rooted in love and humility. Only through sustained repentance, the Archbishop said, can Ndi Igbo break free from centuries of inherited prejudice. The Enugu Synod's engagement with the Osu-Ohu question represented a significant moment for Igbo society. By confronting discrimination openly, the Holy Ghost Cathedral has set a blueprint for reform, inspiring communities across Igbo land to uphold dignity, unity, and equality under God.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070 30437110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us today on The Insight. But before we go into the program proper, we apologize for bringing this program out of schedule. Thank you very much for your understanding. But you know, as we celebrate the new year, people are still in the mode of celebration. We are setting agenda for the new year. Everything is about the new year resolution. Personally and as a nation, we're beginning to chart the direction coming into 2026 proper. And today is no exception. We'll be discussing with a very prominent personality in Enugu State. We are talking about no other person by His Royal Highness Oba Isiaka A. Salmon, MNSE, PhD. Ilufemi Loye 1, Arole Odua of Enugu State, the Oba and leader of Yoruba in Enugu State, Nigeria. Oba.
Happy New Year, Mr.
Many
Happy
return. It's a pleasure to have you.
And
thank you very much. We know it's a new year and a lot of things to attend to, and you're here to speak with us. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
All right. Let's just get into it.
Okay.
2026 has been long awaited for. Once we get into December, people start making arrangements for the new year, celebrating the festivities, and then here we are. 2026 is finally upon us, and today is the second day of 2026. And I want to, since we are looking at your prospect for 2026, I want to ask, what are these prospects, the agenda for 2026?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I want to use this opportunity to thank the Almighty God for preserving us to see the year 2026. We pray to the Almighty God to continue to preserve us. As for the resolution and our prospect for the new year, myself, I like a saying that before you project anything, it's better you know where you are so that you can be able to make a kind of informed decision and set goals that are really realistic. It will be better to start from a brief review about 2025, which is a year that God has made us to survive, irrespective of the challenges nationwide. Talking about 2025, a lot of things happened in 2025. When you talk about economy, we look at the issue of security, and in the political angle too, we witness a lot of development. To start with the economy in 2025, we could see that on February 28, 2025, the 2025 budget was signed by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The proposal was 54.9 trillion naira against the initial figure of 49.7 trillion naira initially submitted to the National Assembly. Then moving forward, during an interaction between the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, around December last year, during an interaction between him and the National Assembly, he said something that the performance of our 2025 budget was 30%, that almost 70% will be rolled over to 2026. And he explained that this shortfall was due to the shortfall in the revenue, that the federal government targeted to realize about 40.8 trillion naira in terms of revenue. But at the end of the day, federal government realized 10.7 trillion naira. And as such, they could not really fund the 2025 budget as they intended to do. And also, when you look at 2025 on the economic front, the poverty line, in fact, there was an index, according to the World Bank, around October 2025, that Nigeria now has almost 139 million people living below the poverty line, which account for almost 61% of the population. It's not really a good one, but on the positive note, we could see the establishment of some regional development commissions, like Southeast Development Commission, South-South Development Commission, North Central Development Commission. As it stands now, I think 2025, the federal government, through the Act of Parliament, was able to establish 6 regional development commissions. And we believe that these commissions, by 2026, when they will start receiving their funding, they will be able to bridge the infrastructural gap in their respective region. Another thing that also happened in 2025 on the economic front which is of worthy of note, is the issue of tax reforms. 4 laws were signed by the president on June 26, 2025. The laws, according to the expert and what we've seen, what we've heard, that they are very comprehensive in nature. And these laws are expected to bring some good tidings, like increase in the revenue collection, like to attract both local and foreign investment, and also to improve business environment. However, in December 2025, a prominent member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abdulsamad Dasuki from Kebbi Tambuwa Federal Constituency in Sokoto State, raised a concern that what was passed by the National Assembly, it was not the same thing that was assented to. And based on that, I think the National Assembly has inaugurated a committee, another committee, to really find out and to investigate the allegations, so to say, raised by Honorable Dasuki. Though a lot of people have called for the suspension of the implementation of the tax reforms, pending the determination of how true or false the allegation raised by Honorable Dasuki. So, by that, I could say that 2025 was just a year of economic challenge. Though the federal government is trying to put some policies and reforms in order to stabilize the exchange rates, and we could also see a kind of competition in the petroleum industry, because these are the two things that are really very fundamental when we talk about economy. Because as we know, price of petroleum motor spirits affect almost everything. But we could see that local investors are coming up. I want to encourage federal government that they should continue to open up that petroleum industry and make it to be very competitive, so that we can witness a kind of a further reduction in the price of the petroleum motor spirit. So that is on the economy. On politics, 2025 witnessed a lot of political development. We could see that prominent opposition figure, like His Excellency, former Vice President of the country, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, former Governor of Anambra State, the former Senate President David Mark, the former Osun State Governor Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, and a lot of opposition figures came together sometimes in July 2025 to announce ADC as a kind of a platform they want to use to unite the opposition figure together. And going forward, around November 2025, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar formally registered with the party, with the ADC, to really formalize his membership of the party. And also, I think on 31st, the last day of 2025, we saw His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi at Aneke Lake Resort in Enugu here, also register officially with the party, and we could see some notable politicians around him that day. We could see somebody like Dr. Sam Egu, former governor of Ebonyi State. We could see some sitting senators, like Senator Inaya Baribe from Abia State, Victor Ume from Anambra State, and we could see a former senator from Enugu State too, Senator Gilbert Inaji, also identifying with the ADC platform on that day, and also a former senatorial candidate of the APC, Princess Ada Obu, also identified with the party on that very day. And also, we saw a lot of defections, governors, senators, House of Rep members, moving from the party on which they won election to majorly to APC. We could see a state like Enugu State, for instance, His Excellency Barrister Peter Ndubizumba defected from PDP to the APC. We could see Rivers State Governor leaving the PDP to APC. We could see Osun State Governor leaving the PDP to Accord. We could see a state like Delta, right? Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, almost 8 PDP governors left their party, and all of them went to APC except Governor Adeleke of Osun State, who went to Accord Party. Yes. So on the political scene, we see a lot of development, people moving from one party to another, opposition figure adopting a particular platform to challenge the status quo come 2027. And also on the electionary front, INEC, we saw that around August 16, there were by-elections in 13 states, Enugu State inclusive. I think Enugu Urban State House of Assembly constituency, that the court said there should be a rerun. Then we also saw a kind of off-cycle gubernatorial election in Anambra State on November 8th, which the incumbent won convincingly. Then also, we noticed that around October, the former Aneke chairman, the tenure ended, and the new person was appointed in person of Professor Joas Ojo Amupitan. So these are the developments from the political scene. On the security, we saw a kind of increase in banditry, kidnapping, and worshippers are affected, school children, and so on. And also around October 31st, 2025, the US president declared Nigeria as a country of particular concern. And also, I think on the Christmas day, we saw a kind of a partnership between the country and the US about the bombardment of the hideout of the terrorists, so to say, in somewhere in Sokoto. And I think we believe that such a partnership will continue to flush out the bad element. And we also saw that the president thought it wise to declare a state of emergency on security, whereby he ordered the release of funds for rehabilitation of police training institutions across the country. We saw a directive that the policemen should be withdrawn from VIP who are on escort duties. And we saw a kind of a pronouncement that the police force should be more enhanced in terms of their personnel, that there should be a kind of a 50,000 recruitment of our new police recruits. I think those are the major events on their security side. And also, we also noticed that some of the service chiefs were replaced, so to say, to bring in fresh blood to strengthen the security architecture of the country. So these are my reviews about 2025. So going forward for 2026, I will advise the federal government to sustain the efforts in restoring security back to the country, because that is very essential. Without security, you won't be talking about any development. Without security, no investor will come and invest in an unsecured environment. So the partnership should continue with our relevant stakeholders. And the state of emergency that has been declared on the security, the policies and pronouncements should be backed up with actions so that we could actually see the effects.
All right. Listening to you, even anyone who's been away from Nigeria will know that you're conversant with the happenings in the country as a leader. Good. We've seen your narrative of the happening, and they are quite accurate. But you've just stopped at advising the federal government on the area of security. But I want to take you back a bit on the issue of the economy, especially as it has to do with the tax reform bill that you quite recounted. I want to get your personal view on that very tax bill. Are you one of those who have the view that the federal government should have stepped down implementation pending when a proper review and investigation around issues surrounding the tax reform bill is completed?
Okay. On a personal note, the laws were assented to by Mr. President. But someone who is an insider, because he's an House of Representative member, raised a serious concern about what was passed and what was assented to. So I will also advocate that there should be suspension of the implementation of the law, pending the outcome of the investigation, so that we can actually know the law we are trying to implement, and there won't be anything secretive about it. So on a personal note, I will also advocate that the implementation of the policy should be suspended, pending the outcome of the investigation ordered by the National Assembly.
All right. While your taking is quite up on that issue of the tax bill, but do you see this tax bill as being one of the reforms that we need presently as a country in terms of uplifting people from poverty? You know, as when you were speaking, you did mention that reports, you know, that the index report that that most Nigerians are slipping into poverty. Do you think that that's the reform we should be pushing at this point in time? And does it have the capacity to help the economic projection of the nation in this 2026?
Okay, when you talk about tax reforms, honestly, we need some bold reforms in this country because something is obvious. Part of the reforms we need is even to begin to talk about reduction in the number of people we see around the executives. Let's start doing something from there, because the whole idea of the tax reforms is to get more companies, more people to pay tax, so that government can have money to fund the budget. But at the same time, we can actually look at some of the SSs and save some fund from the SSs. We could see, you hear a state governor appointing thousands of aides. You begin to wonder, what is their functions? What do they do to contribute to the social, political, and economic development of their state? So I think on the part of the executive, they should look at how to block some of these loopholes and the SSs. Then after doing that, then the tax reforms can now come into play. If you own a company, you should pay an appropriate tax so that government will really have fund to do some of their social responsibilities and what they need to do for the society. So for me, my advice for the government is that first of all, yes, we need tax reforms, but the government should also look at some of these SSs around people in government and look at a way of reducing some of these SSs in order to save some funds. Then thereafter, we can now begin to talk about how to widen the tax net and bring more money to the government coffers.
All right. Let me move away from that now. While you are still speaking about the happenings in 2025, you made mention about the leadership change in Aneke. And then here is 2026. Yes, we've had the off-cycle election in Anambra State, yes, and some few other places. Yes. Then 2026, preparatory to 2027. What is your take, or do you have confidence in this new leadership of Aneke to properly lead an election worthy of the people's trust in 2027?
Okay, the Aneke, if we watch from 1999 to date, we could see that there are some improvements in terms of our policies, in terms of our getting it right. I want to commend the Aneke for trying to improve at every election cycle. And what I would advise is that, like during the 2023 elections, a lot of things were promised in order to bring more transparency to the process. Like we could say something like Beaver's machine, right? We could see something like promise of a transmission of the results, online transmission of results. I think INEC should continue to work and explore some of these technological means in order to continue to improve the confidence of Nigerians on the electoral process. So for me, I think all Nigerians, let's continue to trust INEC. Let's continue to encourage INEC. Why I also call on the leadership of INEC that going forward, all eyes will be on the leadership of INEC, especially the new person that is coming on board. People want to see things that are different. People want to hear about elections that after the election, nobody will even feel like challenging anything in court because of the transparent nature. So for me, INEC should continue to be independent. INEC should continue to conduct their businesses transparently so that at the end of the day, it will even solve a lot of this problem of post-election litigants, because you could see when they are going to maybe tribunal, they will always join INEC also to come and say whatever they know, why they declare so as a winner or not. So I want to encourage the new leadership of INEC to continue to be transparent, to continue to work with relevant stakeholders, and to be truthful in all their dealings so that the confidence of Nigerians about the electoral process in the country can actually improve.
All right. Now, let's look at issue of security. When you were speaking, you made some projection for 2026 in terms of the collaboration between Nigeria and the US, and that we hope to see more of such collaboration going forward in 2026. But what I actually want to get out from this is this collaboration that has seen about the bombing of Sokoto, and a lot of activities geared towards, eradicating terrorism, banditry, as we've seen in the north. Do you see that being sustained in 2026 and having the capacity to, begin to make people feel more secure, let's say in the south, where we've seen a lot of kidnapping as well? Do you see that as being impactful in that area, or do you advise the government that beyond such collaboration, we should step up as a country, as in terms of securing life and property in Nigeria? You agree with me that traveling within, let's say, from Enugu to Lagos is no longer a mean feat as it used to be, where people had to go pray days. Then at times you have to rather pay exorbitant airfares rather than keep money for kidnappers along the way. What's your take, and what do you tell government directly concerning this issue?
Honestly, the fundamental responsibility of any government is to protect the life and properties of our citizens. And any government that fails to protect the lives and property of our citizens does not want it. And as such, I will advocate for continued partnership with all relevant stakeholders. And whatever we are doing, it should be very holistic. It should not be concentrated in a particular region of the country, because insecurity is everywhere in Nigeria, like you rightly said. So, in doing this, the partnership with the US should be sustained. The state of emergency that has been declared on the security sector in the country should be sustained with actionable plans. The security personnel, they should be motivated to do the right thing. And also, there should be a kind of a feedback. Do you get it? Government should set up a machinery in place to actually get feedback, because what is going on in the country is that there are sabotage. There are sabotage even within the security apparatus, as we could say. So the federal government should set up a kind of a mechanism to get real feedback. If funds are released, maybe to do something for the personnel, to cater for their welfare, so that they will be energized and do what they are supposed to do. So government should do something like that. So I will continue to advocate for continued partnership, and whatever we are doing should be holistic, should cover everywhere in the country, so that anywhere you live in, you feel secured and you can carry out your daily activities without fear of being attacked.
Holistic in approach.
Yes.
Let me move away from the happenings. I'm speaking to a leader of men, the leader of the Yoruba nation in Enugu State. And I want to ask, this is moving away directly from this issue. What has been the collaboration with your hosts, speaking about Enugu State?
Okay.
Yeah, how has it been like? Has it been harmonious? What's the experience like so far?
The collaboration between my community and the state government is a very wonderful one. And I want to appreciate the government of our Enugu State right from time immemorial, because the Yorubas, we've been living in these states for as long as 45 years. And you know, government is continuous. So when we talk about government, the government of Enugu State has been very accommodating. The people of Enugu State are very accommodative. And honestly, a typical Igbo person doesn't care about your tribe. He doesn't care about your religion. In as much as you don't have any evil plan against him, and you don't tamper or do anything evil to affect his business, you are welcome. So I want to appreciate the government of Enugu State and also the natives for accommodating the Yoruba community. And part of this is that, you know, when you feel relaxed where you are, you can now also begin to look at ways to contribute to development of the state, because where you live is where you are from. That's the truth of the matter. And in lieu of that, on the part of my communities, we've been organizing some activities to also support the government or to contribute our own quota to the development of our Enugu State. Like on April 26, 2025, when I inaugurated my cabinet members, the community, we thought it wise to float a scholarship program for undergraduates. And during that occasion, I was able to awarded 5 scholarship graduates to undergraduates. And also, just December 6th of 2025, we organized another program we tag Yoruba Cultural Day and Scholarship Distribution, whereby we talk about a theme that borders about cultural integration and national cohesion, a veritable tool for national unity and development. We invited a lot of dignitaries within and outside the state. And also, we also used that occasion too to award additional 20 scholarships as part of our effort to contribute to the educational development of the state. And the beneficiaries, it was not segregative. We have names like Annie, we have names like Clement, names like Lovett, among the 20 people we give scholarship to. So the government of Enugu State has been very wonderful, has been very accommodating. And on the part of my community, we also continue to collaborate in areas of our mutual interest in order to see that Enugu State continue to move from height to height.
All right. What you're telling me now is that there's no move to leave the state.
No.
You're still in the state.
Yes.
Like they say in the local parlance, we die here. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So what you're saying, in essence, is that the people here are quite tolerant.
Yes.
You live in harmony.
Yes.
And peaceful.
Yes.
What about, I'm deviating a bit, but
okay.
What about the issue of, I have not been here for long. I'm new in these parts of the state, the country as well. But I can tell you categorically that one of the things that we hear, both in Lagos and outside, is that in Igbo land, they don't sell their land to visitors.
That is not correct. That is not correct. I can begin to mention names of some of my people that have their investments here, and they bought the land. Okay. A lot of us has residential houses there, and we bought the land. So the narrative is not correct.
The narrative is not correct.
It's not correct.
There's nothing like segregation in terms of what you pay as someone who is not ethnically indigenous from this place,
okay.
and someone who, like an Annie you mentioned,
okay.
You're saying that it's the same treatment.
It's the same treatment, no disparity.
No disparity.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's get into it proper. You are the leader of the Yoruba nation in Igbo land. Let's talk about cultural integration. Do you think that when we talk about cultural integration between the Yorubas and the Igbos, is there a marked improvement under your leadership from what it used to be?
Yes, there is a lot of differences. Like I just told you now that we just finished a celebration of Yoruba Cultural Day in Enugu State. And like I told you, the theme of that event was cultural integration and exchange, a veritable tool for national unity and cohesion, whereby we invited some prominent personality within Enugu State and outside Enugu State to talk about culture. And one of them was Professor Chigozie Ogbu, the IMT rector, then the chairman of the APC in Enugu State, Dr. Ben Uwoye. Then the occasion was chaired by a prominent justice in Enugu State, Honorable Justice Onovo. And during that cultural celebration, we were able to reaffirm and to reassure ourselves that we are truly one. And that when you talk about tribe, you talk about religion, all these things are not enough to put division among us, because we are all humans and we all came from the same source. And also moving forward, when you look at even the Igbos and the Yorubas, even in our languages and in the way we do some
leadership of the state so far.
Okay, like when I was talking about the review of 2025, I think let me just use this opportunity now to review some of the happenings in Enugu in 2025. We saw a budget of 971 billion naira,
yes,
assented by the government of Enugu State in 2025. And during the presentation of our 2026 proposal at the National Assembly, His Excellency told India Enugu that the budget achieved 83% performance, which is a very good one. And also, he said something remarkable, that the state projected to earn around 150 billion naira from FAC in 2025. But the state earned 230 billion naira from Federation Account Allocation Committee. Then also, He said there was improvement in the IGR of the state, that the state was able to get around 400 billion naira in terms of IGR. And we could see in 2025, because when the governor said almost 85% to 83, around 80% of the budget were achieved, we could see a lot of roads being constructed in 2025. We could see a lot of schools, smart school, a lot of type B hospitals, a lot of bus terminals being constructed and commissioned on that year 2025 in review. So I think on the economic front, the state government is really doing well, and the people are feeling the impact. Then about the tax, the true thing about the tax is that when you want to develop, it is one thing that is sure, that you have to look for funds. And also, when you are looking for the funds, government has different means of generating these funds. We've talked about FARC, that is the allocation from our federal government. Then each state is entitled to look inward to generate some revenue. And when you get the feelings on the street, you know the economy is just too harsh. And I like His Excellency. He did something that showed that he's a listening leader. On November 14, precisely, 2025, he now inaugurated a committee. He said, Tax Review Committee, to show you that the government is also getting a lot of feedback from our citizens. And he told the committee to go and review all the existing tax in the state with a view to know what to do to those tax rates. And you know, when you are reviewing, two things are involved, or even three things. You can review downward, right? You can maintain the status quo, or you can also go up. But
in the state,
economic pressure on the citizen could be somehow relieved.
All right, that's quite interesting to hear, and I know they are watching, and they will get that feedback as well. But I still want to take a little bit not higher than what we are talking about, because I'm speaking to not just a leader, but you're equally a cultural leader in the state. And where I'm going to is the issue of Nigeria as a place. There's a lot of cultural diversity, and when we talk about cultural diversity, you speak to a lot of multi-ethnicity in Nigeria, and with that we've seen a lot of disparity, cultural intolerance, ethnic intolerance, religious intolerance, because where you have multi-ethnicity, there are multi-religion. We have the Christians, the Muslims, and equally the traditional worshippers, and a whole lot of others. You know, a lot of times we don't accommodate all these other ones as well. But where I'm going with this is, for example, let me give you an instance. In Rwanda, for example, when you ask a Rwandan, for instance, where are you from? He will not say, you say, I'm from Rwanda, ethnicity, for instance, and then bringing it back to Nigeria. As a cultural leader, what will be your advice to Nigerians and the government of Nigeria for us to really, you know, bring our ass together, see ourselves as a people, one under God and under a nation called Nigeria?
This issue of different ethnic background in the country is something that should be source of strength to us and not source of division. And like I will always tell my people that your ethnic should be about your conduct, and everybody should be proud to be called a Nigerian. And I think there is something that is very fundamentally wrong that we need to correct. Is about this issue of citizenship and state of origin.
Okay.
I think that is just the bottom line. If the government can do something like this discussion about constitutional amendment, when the ad hoc committee on constitutional review came to Enugu around July, and I made a presentation on behalf of my community there, one of the recommendations I told them is that the issue of citizenship should be adjusted, and where you live should be where you are from. That is as simple as that. If you have someone irrespective of where you are from, and you've been in Kaduna, you are doing your businesses there, you are paying your tax there, do you get it? Then you are from Kaduna. When we begin to do something like that, honestly, you will see everybody, anywhere you see yourself, that Nigerian identity will be easier for us to adopt, and everybody will just fall in line. So I think the issue of our citizenship should be really touched, so that maybe by issue of marriage, by issue of you've stayed for in a particular place for a very long period of time, then there shouldn't be any discrimination.
All right, that's quite interesting. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll continue to probe on these issues. Please stay with us.
Eagles stand as a majestic symbol of strength, clarity, and vision. Its ability to soar above storms signifies resilience, while its shaped sight represents focus. This is why many nations, including Nigeria, use the eagle as an emblem of nation pride. Eagles do not fear challenges, they embrace them. They fly higher when the winds become strong, rising above obstacles rather than avoiding them. This teaches us that problems are not barriers, but stepping stones for those who dare. To live like an eagle is to stay focused, courageous, and disciplined. It is to see opportunities where others see only difficulties. The sky is not your limit, it is your launch pad.
Health isn't just avoiding sickness, it's a lifestyle. Eat well, sleep right, exercise, and stay mentally sound. Your body is your vehicle for life. Treat it like a treasure, not a trash can.
Thank you for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, we've been speaking with His Royal Highness Oba Isiaka A. Salmon, MNSE, PhD, Ilufemi Loye 1, Arole Odua of Enugu State, the Oba and leader of Yoruba in Enugu State, Nigeria. Oba, it's been a pleasure discussing with you. Yes, we've been, dealing with the issue that's been very pertinent with Nigeria, and you've given quite a suggestive solution to the issue about ethnicism, state of origin, and all that. That's quite very informative suggestion that you've made there. But I want to move a little bit from that now. Let's talk about the girl child and the issue of GBV. That's part of the things that were prominent in 2025. Even in Enugu State, there was a task force that was set up, to pursue the issue around gender-based violence. And I want to, get your take. When we talk about GBV, gender-based violence, a lot of times we are told that there are cultural issues around it, being that even traditional leaders find it difficult to allow their subjects come open to, discuss such that or report such incidents is usually tried to cover within the family. And I'm saying it's difficult for a man who is being beaten by the wife to come and tell people that my wife they beat me. You understand that kind of thing? But being a leader, I know you handle issues like this in your area. How do you handle such issues, and what do we do? Because we are setting the agenda for 2026 to see that gender-based violence is brought to the barest minimum in 2026.
Gender-based violence is something that is on the increase, and all the relevant stakeholders, especially the community leaders, like you said, should step up their game in order to curtail this scenario. And what I will advocate is that, number one, there should be this kind of awareness against gender-based violence, because violence does anybody no good. If you have issues, what you cannot resolve amicably, it can never be resolved through violence. And when you involve yourself in violent acts, maybe against your spouse or people around you, it doesn't even speak well about you, because no matter what, the decency and dignity of every humanity has to be preserved. You don't need to fight before you sort things out. And I will advise the community leaders, the religious leaders should step up their game in order to advocate more against this, and let our preachers, the cleric now, so to say, continue to tailor their sermons on good behavior at homes, in the society, and the community that too, when they bring issues like that, we should always remain truthful. Because one thing you notice is that a lot of times people will see the truth and trying to bend corners. If it is A that has done something wrong, you tell him. And when you are telling him, don't condemn him. You tell him in a corrective way so that he or she will actually realize that what he or she is doing is not really right. And there could be some sort of behavioral changes. So to the community leaders and to the religious leaders, the awareness against gender-based violence should continue. And we should continue to preach to our subjects to be of good conduct. And they should know that anything you cannot solve through dialogue is not violence that will be able to solve it. And whatever issues that has been brought to us as community leaders, we should remain truthful, remain impartial, so that we can say the truth at all times.
All right. While you were speaking, you mentioned about the scholarships. There was 20 scholarships that has been awarded and all that. And I want to inquire, is there in this scholarship, are there special preference for especially the girl child in terms of education in your community?
Yes, yes. In fact, these are last one. Out of 20, 14 were females.
Okay.
It was only 6 that were made. So there's preference.
All right.
Yes.
At least
yes.
to encourage the girl child to acquire more education.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's all right.
Yes.
Now, I know we've taken quite some time, but while we were talking about the issues and setting agenda for 2026, I want to take you back again to the one event that you did mention, the mega party formation, where we saw a coalition of the Atiku, the P2Bs, and some other individuals to challenge the ruling APC. And that brings me to ask the question, what's your view in terms of lack of accommodation, as many has, projected towards the ruling party, but for not accommodating multi-party opinion, I'd say, in Nigeria, as regards that people are now of the view that we are about having only a one-party state. What's your take on that? Because that's one of the events that shaped 2025.
Oh, yeah, yes, you are correct. But for me, let's look at this objectively. I think Aneke is even about to register 2 additional parties.
Okay.
Do you get it? To add to the existing ones. For me, I will just continue to encourage the government of the day to continue to allow the opposition figures to thrive and to play their role as opposition. Because in democracy, and in a good democracy, there should be opposition. Because the work of the opposition is to monitor the government in power, or the party in power, so to say. So that if there are policies that are not, in their own opinion, are not for the best interest of the country, then the opposition will be able to continue to identify the faulty lines, and so that the government of the day can actually listen to them and make adjustments where necessary. Then as to the coalition, I think, like I said, is normal. And when you trace the history of even the incumbent president of the country, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a product of opposition. So the president can now turn around not to allow opposition to thrive. And we could see he has been allowing a lot of, he has been tolerant, so to say. But there is, Nigerian situation is very complex. As a leader, some persons may even be doing some certain things in your name without you being aware. Maybe in order to play psychophancy or to be in the good records. Do you get it? But the current president we know is a product of opposition. And as such, I believe he will continue to allow opposition to thrive. And to opposition figures, yes, if they have better agenda, if they have better alternatives to our problems, then they should talk to Nigerians. Then at the end of the day, Nigerians will decide who they want.
All right. Now, the agenda 2026 proper. Let's set the agenda for 2026. What will you be... Yes, let's go back to it. Let's start from the federal government. What will you be telling the government as we march into 2026 proper?
Okay. Like I said earlier, there should be sustainability about the partnership between the US and other relevant stakeholders in order to tame the issue of insecurity in the country. That is number one. Number two, the petroleum industry should continue to be opening up so that we have a lot of competitors and the price of our petroleum motor spirits will actually come down. Then there should be a kind of coordinated effort about agriculture. Towards the end of 2025, we saw that prices crash of some essential goods. Then there should be continuous effort towards agriculture so that we could continue to witness decline in the prices of our commodity in the market. Then on the part of our ASU, I think something is remarkable about this government. For some times now, ASU has not gone on strike. And we believe that federal government must be doing something right in order to keep our university system running. Although, towards the end of 2025, we saw a warning strike from ASU, 2 weeks warning strike. But at the end of the day, I think they returned to the negotiation table. And I know, so I want to encourage federal government, we should not experience anything like ASU strike because we have a lot of issues on ground already. So we could not allow our children in school to still come back to the house and fuel some of these crises. Then also about being accommodative about opposition figures. Federal government should continue to be accommodative. And the president should continue to remember that he's also a product of our opposition. And we want to encourage the federal government to provide that level playing ground for everybody. Like I used to say, the Nigerians are not just dumb and deaf. They can analyze issues on their own. If Nigerians decide that this government has done well, there's no doubt about it. They will return the government because nobody wants to change a winning team. But if federal government feels that there are some areas they need to be more proactive, then they should see it as a challenge and do more for the people. So the bottom line is that the government should continue to allow democracy to thrive the way it's supposed to thrive. So that is for the federal government. Now, coming to state government, like I said, I think His Excellency has really listened to the voice of Enugu people because the inauguration of the committee on review of tax rate in Enugu State is something I took as something fundamental, that the government is actually listening to the people. And we believe when the committee finishes with assignments, maybe there could be little adjustments in terms of tax collection in the state. Then also, we want to see continuous development of the education sector, like the smart schools we've seen. If you've been to any of those smart schools, you know that the government is really trying a lot. We could see that some bus terminals were opened, and we could see that the transport system in Enugu State is also changing. So that should be sustained. Then also on the security side, I think based on records available, Enugu State is the safest state in the southeast. And we could see that in 2024, the state government inaugurated a fund, Enugu State Security Trust Fund. And I know during 2025 year, there were a lot of investment in security. Like we witnessed the purchase of a long-range, 2 long-range drones, security drones. We witnessed early in the 2025 that Mr. President came to Enugu to inaugurate a control and surveillance center. So I think the government should continue to sustain the investment in security so that Enugu State will continue to be safe for all and businesses can continue to thrive.
Okay, that's quite up. Then what do you tell Nigerians coming into 2026?
Fellow Nigerians, let's continue to be patriotic. Let's continue to go about our normal businesses without any hindrance. And let's continue to support people in government by offering them our prayers, our support, our advice when the need be. And also, when we are setting our own personal agenda, let's set agenda that are realistic so that we will not put ourselves into pressure, unnecessary pressure, so to say. So, if you have a target to achieve this, have a plan to fund it, and let it be steady. Let's not rush anything so that nobody will be put into unnecessary pressure.
All right, Oba, let me just hear your thoughts on what you have for the Yoruba nation in 2026. You're their leader, and they will be eager to hear you.
Yes.
Before, yes.
Yes. In 2026, like I said, the scholarship scheme we started on April 2025 is going to be a continuous one. So 2026, we are expecting more of that. In 2026, they should expect more of youth and also woman empowerment in terms of skill acquisition, especially soft skills, so that outside the classroom, our children can also have soft skills to do one thing or the other. Then also, they should look out for more partnership with relevant stakeholders in order to develop ourselves and also to contribute to the social, political, and economic development of the state.
All right, that's quite interesting, and that's it today on the Insight. And remember that your views matter on the Insight. Let us know what you think about what the Oba has said on the Insight today, or you have other opinions. Send them in with the hashtag the Insight, all at Aneke TV, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we've been discussing with His Royal Highness Oba Isiaka A. Salmon, MNSE, PhD, Ilufemi Lawyer 1, Arole Odua of Enugu State, the Oba and leader of Yoruba in Enugu State. It's been a pleasure speaking with you on the Insight. Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
All right. Till we come your way same time next week, I still remain your host, Uche Osai. Bye-bye.
As technology continues to advance, artificial intelligence is finding its way into every aspect of our lives, including education, but as school experience with AI teachers and virtual classrooms, one question remains: can we trust AI to educate our children? Today, we hit the street to find out what Nigerians think.
I wouldn't trust AI to, they educate, but they can inform. There's a difference between education and information. Education is like training, taking over. You have a teacher in school. You should listen to your lecturer. It's not about what somebody says. Or this is garbage in, garbage out. Even those of us who use computer know that at a stage, computer gets confused on which word to put. The same thing applies to those of you who use Google to travel. At a stage, Google can carry you to another place. So you can consult AI when the need arises. It's especially for research work. If you are writing your project now, there are things you want to get to know. You ask AI. AI will tell you. You put it in your work. Or if you are a student, for instance, or you are doing a research, not that things you are supposed to learn in school, then you drop it and AI will take over.
Yeah. Because it's more understanding than anything. It's more they are more understanding.
One thing there is that change is the only thing that is constant. In this era, if you say that you wouldn't want your children to learn through AI or whatever, that means you don't understand the extent that AI is going. Yes, of course, they must have to learn through the use of AI, but that cannot replace the involvement of human beings, because AI may be efficient, but it doesn't have that empathy that human beings have. So there are certain things embedded in nature, made by God himself, that no technology can reproduce. And those things are why we cannot ignore certain other things that must be brought in, even as we use technology. But as for whether I would want my children to imbibe the AI stuff, that one is certain, because this is the era for it. A lot of things are now being done using AI.
I prefer human being. AI is a robot. It's not everything that he knows. But human being, naturally, there are some things he explained. It's not just how do I put it? It's not. It's sometimes you ask question and human being explain with nature, but robot don't know anything about nature. He cannot explain. It's only what he thinks is better. Let me just say, some most of the time, ask AI question, he will say he don't know it. But as a human, once you are educated and you exist, you just have a little reference to what someone as, even if you cannot tell the full detail of that, but you can give out something that the person will hold on.
I trust AI to educate me because it's an artificial intelligence which which can make you to be what, to be computer literate, that will guide you, and also you can use it to empower yourself in order for you to
Advertise with us. Cover your event. Share your story. Call 070-30437110 today. Aneke TV. Move with the world. Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakaba. And now to the headlines. Federal government proposes 3.23 trillion naira for road infrastructure in 2026 budget. Niger State gives Kanji Lake residents 60 days to relocate. Over 6 million Lagos residents living with hypertension. And now to the details of the news. The federal government has proposed 3.23 trillion naira for road construction and rehabilitation in the 2026 budget, marking a 489% increase from 548.58 billion naira in 2024. The Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, will oversee the allocation, which aims to complete 2,604 inherited projects and initiate new flagship highways across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones. The plan emphasizes reducing transport costs, boosting trade, and improving regional connectivity. Of the proposed budget, 1.39 trillion naira is earmarked for new road construction, while 285.62 billion naira will fund urgent repairs and rehabilitation of critical routes. Key projects include the Abuja-Lokoja Road with 7.7 billion naira allocated and the Kano-Maiduguri Expressway receiving over 24 billion naira. The ministry has proposed between 100 billion naira and 160 billion naira in additional funding for ongoing projects in each zone to maintain national balance. To support the ambitious plan, the government intends to source 367.9 billion naira through multilateral and bilateral loans for strategic projects such as the 9th Mile or Makurdi Road. Experts caution that timely execution and consistent funding releases will determine the success of this massive investment. The proposal is now under review by the National Assembly as part of Nigeria's drive to modernize its transport infrastructure. President Bola Tinubu has ordered the Nigerian Armed Forces to remain the enduring symbol of shared strength and the primary guardians of democracy. Speaking at the 2026 Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day Gala in Abuja, represented by Information Minister Alhaji Mohammed Idris, the president called on troops to maintain discipline and loyalty while affirming his administration's commitment to securing lasting peace. He credited recent frontline successes with restoring public confidence and improving security across volatile regions. Highlighting the welfare and service members as central to national security, the president promised improved living conditions, modern equipment, and enhanced training programs. The president also announced 2 new initiatives, the Tank a Soldier electronic wall and the My Nigerian Hero campaign, designed to allow citizens to honor both active personnel and veterans for their sacrifices. The event included a tribute to fallen heroes and an award ceremony recognizing notable contributions to national defense. 17 additional worshippers abducted from the Evangelical Church Winning All ECWA in Ayetoro, Kiribunu, Kogi State have been released following intense negotiations led by the Ayetoro Kiribunu Development Association. Families reportedly paid an undisclosed ransom, bringing the total number of freed parishioners to 24 after the December 14, 2025 attack. Earlier in January, 7 victims were released, but only 4 survived due to harsh captivity conditions. 13 worshippers remain in the hands of the abductors. Community leaders have criticized the Kogi state government for not participating in the negotiations, which have so far been privately facilitated. The Development Association reaffirmed its commitment to securing the release of the remaining hostages and urged the public to keep them in prayers. Residents continue to call for urgent intervention from security agencies, highlighting the disruption the kidnappings have caused to local social and religious lives. The Nigerian police force confirmed it has intelligence on recent U.S. airstrikes against terrorists in Sokoto State, but declined to share details publicly. The police spokesperson, Benjamin Hundeyin, told Channels Television that the operation is strictly a defense matter, stressing that all information will be handled by military authorities. He said the police role was limited to intelligence gathering and interagency cooperation. The strikes conducted on December 25th followed a request from the Nigerian government and targeted terrorist hideouts in northwest Nigeria, U.S. Suitably qualified candidates seeking admission into Nigerian tertiary institutions. It noted that candidates must be at least 16 years old by September 30th, 2026 to be eligible for consideration. The board, however, made provisions for underage candidates under strict conditions, adding that such candidates must score a minimum of 80% in UTME or A-level, post-UTME, SSCE, and an exceptional candidate assessment, with results to be released only after a comprehensive evaluation process. The Ebe Mohafia community in Abia State has imposed a ban on hard drugs, cultism, violence, and other criminal activities. The directive was announced by the Ebe Mohafia youth in collaboration with the Central Executive Council of the Ebe Mohafia Development Union and endorsed by the Council of Chiefs and Elders. According to a statement by Publicity Secretary Ifan Yokali on Tuesday, the ban aims to restore peace, security, and order within the community. Authorities emphasize strict enforcement, warning that violations would attract communal sanctions. Community leaders also called on residents to embrace lawful conduct, support local security initiatives, and participate in programs designed to provide youth with educational and vocational opportunities. The move is part of a broader effort to curb crime and foster sustainable social cohesion in Ohafia local government area. The Enugu state government has launched a statewide measles rubella vaccination campaign targeting over 2 million children. The exercise runs from February 4 to February 14 across all 17 local government areas of the state. Health officials say the campaign targets children aged 9 months to 14 years and aims to close immunity gaps against the highly contagious diseases. Temporary vaccination posts have been set up in communities to ensure widespread access. Authorities announced that the standalone measles vaccine will be phased out after the campaign and replaced with the combined measles rubella vaccine in routine immunization. Development partners including WHO and UNICEF urge parents to ensure their children are vaccinated. News across the country comes to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us across all our social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now here's a quick recap of the major stories making the news. Federal government proposes 3.23 trillion naira for road infrastructure in 2026 budget. Niger State orders Kenji Lake residents to relocate within 60 days. And coming up shortly, over 6 million Lagos residents diagnosed with hypertension. We'll be right back. Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. And Aneke TV, move with the world. Welcome back. Still on the news, Niger State Governor Umar Bago has ordered residents living in hamlets around Kenji Lake to vacate within 2 months. The directive, announced during a visit to the Emir of Bogo in New Busa, aims to flush out criminals and terrorists hiding in the surrounding forest. Governor Bago cited the unmonitored influx of unprofiled individuals and activities of local informants as factors undermining security operations in the Bogo local government area. The governor instructed the Emirates Council to collaborate with federal security agencies to profile residents and identify those obstructing peace efforts. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security Dr. Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi endorsed the initiative, noting that reclaiming the forest is vital for both community safety and agricultural development. Authorities say 2 months window will allow structured resettlement while minimizing the collateral damage during upcoming military interventions. The directive follows a series of violent attacks in the region, including the killing of at least 40 people at Kasunwandaji Market and the abduction of hundreds of students in late 2025, which led to the closure of all primary and secondary schools in the state. Lagos State is grappling with a major public health challenge as approximately 6 million residents are living with hypertension. Health Commissioner Professor Akin Abayomi has revealed. He warned that one in 5 Lagosians is affected, with nearly 70% unaware of the condition, increasing the risk of sudden heart failure, stroke, or kidney complications. Professor Abayomi noted that most residents seek medical attention only after significant organ damage occurs. The silent progression of the condition has made hypertension a leading cause of preventable death, overwhelming secondary and tertiary hospitals across the state. In response, the Ministry of Health is shifting focus to primary health care centers, urging residents to undertake routine blood pressure, blood sugar, and weight checks. The state aims to provide early interventions and lifestyle counseling, leveraging community health centers to curb the rising burden of chronic non-communicable disease in Nigeria's largest city. The Oyo State Police Command has arrested 4 suspects in connection with kidnapping and murder across the state. 3 of the suspects were linked to the abduction of a female victim who is currently receiving medical treatment and have confessed to their involvement. Police are still pursuing other members of the criminal network. Separately, a male suspect, Olatunji David Shegun, was arrested in connection with a violent clash at Michael Kolioso Polytechnic Saki, which reportedly resulted in a murder. Investigations are ongoing to determine the motive and identify all parties involved. The Oyo State Police assured the public that all 4 suspects will be formally charged once preliminary investigations conclude. The arrest forms part of broader security measures aimed at curbing abduction and violent crimes across the state. The Nigerian Law Association and Youth Arise movement have demanded the immediate release of 52 students from Ambrose Ali University at Boma. The students were remanded at Ubiaja Correctional Center after protesting rising insecurity in their community. Advocacy groups describe the arrest as a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, eliminating tariffs on over 13,000 products to boost trade and investment. Nigeria removed duties on 6,243 UAE imports, while the UAE scrapped tariffs on 7,315 Nigerian goods, creating unprecedented market access for businesses in both countries. The agreement provides zero tariff entry for Nigerian agricultural and primary goods, including fish, cereals, and fruits, with high-value exports like cocoa and machinery to follow in the next 3 to 5 years. UAE goods such as mineral, fuels, electrical equipment, and steel will also be more affordable in Nigeria. Certain sensitive products remain excluded to protect domestic industries. The agreement also covers over 100 service and investment sectors, including finance and technology. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Dr. Jumoke Odewole highlighted opportunities for Nigerian entrepreneurs to establish entities in the UAE with legal protections. The partnerships aligns with the federal government's renewed hope agenda to drive job creation and strengthen Nigeria's role in regional trade. The Federal Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development is set for a technological overhaul, with 7.46 billion naira allocated to the 2020 budget. Minister Festus Keyamo confirmed funds to prioritize flight safety, artificial intelligence integration, and full automation of ministry operations. Budget allocation include ICT upgrades at airports, 3 billion naira for the nation's aerospace university, and hundreds of millions for training air traffic controllers, meteorologists, and aviation personnel. 5 billion naira is set aside for a new ministry headquarters and staff accommodation. The plan also funds costs